welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we have a very unusual thing happening today on the channel, because this puzzle, which is called Squares by Udokos, has exactly the same rule set as the puzzle we did yesterday by Lavaloid. Now, we don't do this very often, and I think that this has been given to me because yesterday's puzzle included a square Renban, and this puzzle seems to have a whole plethora of square Renbans in it. So presumably I've got the sort of logic from yesterday on steroids of some sort. I'll read you the rules of this one in just a moment. But I have big news. If you're one of the people, and there have been many over the last few years, who have been keen to play your own puzzles in our software, you can now do it. You can input your own classic Sudokus into Sven's Sudoku Pad. Sven, of course, is the programmer we've been working with on the channel, well, for over a year now, I think. And we've managed to get this Sudoku Pad created and launched, and it's out today on Apple. So it came out yesterday on Google Play. It's out today on Apple. It's meant to be out later on today on Amazon as well. And basically what you can do is you can find a Sudoku or create a Sudoku, type it in to the software, and then play in our software just as you would on a puzzle we cover on the channel. It's very exciting, and we've been delighted. Actually, the reviews so far, as you can see, have been super. So if you have taken the trouble to write a review, thank you very much. The app also includes 12 handmade puzzles by Mark and me. So if you like your classic Sudokus, there are a few more of them in the app to play. Yeah, so that's all good stuff, and that's what I wanted to tell you about this. Of course, the other thing we have going on is over on Patreon, where I don't know what numbers we're up to now. It's well over 1,000 entries for Jovial Sudoku Extravaganza and for the Murder Mystery Sudoku Hunt. The Murder Mystery Sudoku Hunt has been gaining the most incredible feedback as well. I'm not surprised, because it's a magnificent series of puzzles, all sort of laced together by a really rather cool story. So yeah, do check that out if you haven't had a chance to look at it. With that, let me read you the rules of Squares by Udokos. Now, I'm probably going to get deja vu when I do this. The rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage if given. That wasn't in yesterday's rules. There wasn't an if given in yesterday's rules. I don't think so anyway. Yeah, okay, look. We've got some cages here that don't have totals, so we've got to bear that in mind. Not too many, having said that, but a couple of cages there without totals, and digits cannot repeat within a cage, so they're obviously in the grid for that constraint. We can't repeat digits in those three or those two cages. The way normal killer Sudoku works, of course, is those 5 cells there, add to 22, and don't repeat a digit in the cage. Now the Renban rule. Each grey line contains a set of consecutive non-repeating digits in any order. So that means, let's say we worked out that this 4-cell combination here was 3, 4, 5, 6. We would have to put 3, 4, 5, 6 on that line in some order. So it has to be consecutive, it has to be non-repeating. Actually, the non-repeating thing is obvious because these are all in the same box of the Sudoku, so we could never have repeated a digit on these square Renban lines. And you don't have to put them in an order, so they don't have to be sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 like that, or 3, 4, 5, 6 like a clock. They just have to be in any order. That's all I know. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. I've no idea how hard this is. Let's get cracking. So I have to say I am a bit tempted to look at sort of set equivalent theory here. Because it looks like there's something going on in those 3 rows versus those columns, but let me just take a stare at it first and see if we can see anything simpler than that. Yeah, okay, there is something a little bit simpler. I can see that 1 is restricted in box 8 because I can't put 1 on the Renban line. And that's because if I did, the Renban line would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and this 7 cage would now be broken. because the 7 cage would either needs to be 1, 6, 2, 5 or 3, 4, and none of those things would be possible. So I think the 1 in box 8 is in one of 2 places only. Now, so if we put 1, 2, 3, 4 on this Renban line, those squares could be, yeah, that's okay. They could be 5, 6, 7 or 5, 6, 8, and that would actually work. No, 5, 6, 8 wouldn't work. 5, 6, 7 would work, and no, 5, 6, 8 would work. Did I say 5, 6, 8 wouldn't work? In my mind, I was envisaging 6, 7, 8. But 6, 7, 8 wouldn't work. But 5, 7... What am I talking about? I don't know. 5, 6, 8 would work. That would only add up to 19. And with the 1, that would make 20. And 5, 6, 7 would work. That would only add up to 18. And this could be a 2. And that could be a 1. And that could be a 6. So... oh... Let's just take a look at the sets just to see what's going on. So my thought when I first saw the grid was to do this. So those 3 rows there are obviously those 3 purple strips, if you like, will each contain, well, altogether that will be 3 sets of the digits 1 to 9, because we know in a completed Sudoku this row will contain the digits 1 to 9, so will this, and so will this. Now if we do the same in the columns that sort of miss these square Renbans, we know the green cells will also contain 3 sets of the digits 1 to 9, 3 complete columns of the Sudoku. Now this square, for example, definitely appears in both sets. It appears in purple and it appears in green. So if I delete it from purple and green, we still know that the green cells and the purple cells must be identical. And we can do that for every cell that is both green and purple. And we get that. So now we know delightful pieces of information, like the green cells have to contain a 1. Now that's not surprising given that there is a given 1, but we could get that from the purple logic. Because we've proved that there's a 1 in purple, we know there must be a 1 in green, because we know that the green and the purple are identical in total. But actually this does not look very nice, does it? I thought this might do something more interesting. So knowing that these green and these purple squares are identical is not... I don't think it's telling me anything. Sorry, let's abandon this. This is a complete red herring. Apologies. I don't think that is the way to crack this puzzle at all. Let us think about... I'm wondering about even digits. That's the other thought. And that's because if we think about a 4-cell Renban, it's 4 consecutive digits. So whether the lowest digit is even or odd, we know it will contain 2 even digits and 2 odd digits. If you start with an even digit, you'll go odd, even, odd. And if you start with an odd digit, you'll go odd, even, odd, even. So there's always going to be 2 of each. Now, if we think about row 1 and row 2 together, we know that within the set of digits 1 to 9, there's the even digits of 2, 4, 6 and 8. So there are 4 even digits in each row. And we know, therefore, for those 2 rows, there are 8 even digits altogether. And we know that there are 2 on there, 2 on there, and 2 on there. So we know these cells must contain exactly 2 even digits. And the same is true for any of these sort of strips where we've got 3 Renbans in 2 rows or 2 columns. So similarly, these squares have to contain exactly 2 even digits. This is no going nowhere. This is going nowhere. Oh dear, oh dear. All I've got so far is a pencil marked 1. I feel like even a stop clock is right twice a day at the moment. I'm not doing anything intelligent at all. Let's have a look at column 9, because I'm seeing I've got quite a lot of real estate in cages that I actually know the totals of in column 9. that adds up to 42. That's not good. What I was thinking is of using the secret. The secret, of course, is that in any complete column of a Sudoku, we know it'll contain all of the digits 1 to 9, and if you add up the digits 1 to 9, you get 45. So if this column adds to 45, but these squares add up to 42, you can get a relationship between these two squares and these two squares. So basically, whatever these two add up to has to be 3 greater than whatever those two add up to. And yes, it's absolutely useless. Same thing maybe in column 9. Oh, not column 9, row 9. I've got... Oh, that's 45. These cages actually add up to the secret, which tells us that those two squares must sum to the same as those two squares. I don't see anything I can do with that. I'm not thinking about this correctly at all. Oh dear. Do we know how many even and odd digits are in an 18 cage? Maybe, if we know that we can't put 1 or 9 in there. We know it's not 4 even digits in there, because the 4 even digits add up to 20, 2, 4, 6 and 8. We know it's not 0 even digits in there, because you can't make 4 odd digits add up to 18 if you can't use 9, I don't think. 7, well, yeah, I mean, there aren't 4. In fact, there aren't even 4 odd digits available because I was ignoring this 1. But that 1 is there, and so you can only actually put 3 odd digits in the cage. So in order to make an even number, which 18 most certainly is, we must have an even number of odd digits in this cage, which means that this cage is actually filled up with 2 even and 2 odd digits as well, just like these. The only difference, potentially, is that these don't have to be consecutive digits. So actually, that odd-even parity thing applies for every sort of double stripe of the grid. But I don't actually see how to use this. Why have we been given these 1s and 9s in the grid? What on earth are they doing? If this was 1, 2, 3, 4, that wouldn't have any effect on anything. Why have we been given this? Maybe I can do more with the 9 somehow. I can't. The 9 is absolutely hopeless. Sorry, I am so stuck, I cannot tell you. All of my ideas that I basically had within about 20 seconds of seeing the puzzle are completely and utterly foolish. It must be geometry related, mustn't it then? So it must be maybe it's a different set. Ooh, I don't like the sound of that. I have not got a clue how to... If it's not these, I really wouldn't know how to divide up these squares into a way that's remotely helpful. Maybe it's something to do with the... when I get really, really stuck, which is normally about before I turn the webcam off, I do tend to become more and more mute as time goes on, and I just lose all ideas about what to do next. I was thinking 1s and 9s are very useful if I can get them on the Renban lines. So I was actually wondering whether how many 1s and 9s I can put. Yeah, actually, let's think about that. If we look at this lattice I've just highlighted and ask how many 1s and 9s I can force onto the purple cells, what would be the maximum? I suppose I've got 3 rows and 3 columns. So the maximum number of 1s and 9s I could put in those squares would be 6. Because if I put 7 in, I would definitely be repeating a 1 or a 9. If I try and put 7 1s into these 3 rows and 3 columns, I will definitely have a problem. Now that means... Yes. That might be why we've been given this. Because now, if I can only put 6 1s or 6 9s into the purple, the puzzle has 9 1s and 9 9s. So I have to put 3 1s and 3 9s in, well, I was about to say into the white squares, but it's much more potent than that, isn't it? Because I can't put them in these white squares because of the givens. So there have to be at least 3 1s and 3 9s on Renbans. And whenever you put a 1 on the Renban, oh, this might be this. If this is right, this is completely, absurdly and brilliantly clever. Udokos. This might be one of the cleverest things I've ever seen in Sudoku. If I think there has to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 on that Renban line. And my reasoning for that is as follows. I know that there are at least 3 1s on Renban lines. Now, what would happen if I put 1, 2, 3, 4 there and 1, 2, 3, 4 here? The answer is I've broken the puzzle, because these squares, if we think about where we'd put 1, 2, 3 and 4 in row 3 now, they all have to go in those 1, 2, 3 and 4 all have to go in those 3 squares. And that won't work, because you can't put 4 different digits in 3 different squares. It just doesn't work. So, what that means is I've got to be a bit careful about where I put my 1s on Renban lines. So let's imagine I try and not put a 1 on this Renban line. Now, there's no 1 on this in that set of white squares, and there's no 1 on this Renban line. So I'm now faced with the task of putting 3 1s onto Renban lines in columns 1, 2, into the white squares in columns 1, 2, 7 and 8. And I can't do that, because let's say I decided this was a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I've got to avoid now putting a 1, 2 and 3 and 4 in either of these Renban lines, or I'll have the problem before. If I put 1, 2, 3, 4 here, these squares have to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 quadruple, and you can't do that in 3 squares. So I can't put now 1, 2, 3 and 4 in either of those squares, but I've still got 2 1, 2, 3, 4s to place. So they would have to go in 2 of these 3 2 by 2s, and that breaks the puzzle in column, well, it's going to break it in column 9, because I'm going to have something like this. Have to put 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So, what does all this mean? Well, this means, coming back to where we started from, I need to put a 1 on this Renban line, because if I don't, as I've just shown, I'll break the puzzle. Now, if there's a 1 on that Renban line, we know there's a 1, 2, 3, 4 on the Renban line. Now, this is absolutely beautiful, because now let's just look at this in isolation in regard to this 7. It's the same logic as here, I just never looked at it because I didn't have the given. But you can't put 1, 2, 3, 4 on this Renban line or that 7's broken. So this white square is not capable of absorbing a 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we highlight all of the cells or all of the 2x2s that can't be 1, 2, 3, 4 now, this one can't be. But this is so beautiful. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, we've obviously got the 1, 2, 3, 4 problem there, nori nori. So, same is true of that one. So you can't put 1, 2, 3 and 4 in any of those, and I've still got to put 2 1s into 2x2s. So you can see this is going to resolve. This one will have to be 1, otherwise we'd have 1 here and 1 here, and we'd have the 1, 2, 3, 4 problem there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. The moment this is 1, 2, 3, 4, this can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, so the only other place is there. And that is the disposition of the ones, well, it's the disposition of the ones which forces the 2, 3, 4, 2s and 3s and 4s around the grid. And I'm not sure whether I can do the same with 9s, but I'm quite proud I've managed to do it with 1s. Now, let's just work this out. Now we can remove 1s from there by Sudoku. We can't put a 1 here because it would repeat in its cage. So there's a 1 in one of those 2 squares. Yeah, okay. And we know that there can't be a 1 on this Renban line. Yeah, this is actually an important point, I suppose. The purple lattice just told us that there were a maximum of 6 1s in the purple. Because if we put 1s at the intersections, for example, of columns and rows, then we could have reduced that maximum number down, and we could have therefore had more than 3 1s in the 2x2s. But actually, because of the problem that the Renbans give us, we can't have more than 3 1s in the 2x2s. So this, for example, cannot have a 1 on it, and that's important. Look, in box 7 there must be a 1 in that domino. Whoopsie. I'm noticing I've still not got... Same thing is true up here. I can't put a 1 on this Renban, or this is going to be a problem, so the 1 must be there. Aha, yeah, I've got a digit. Now, you can't put a 1 on this Renban, or it's the 1, 2, 3, 4 again. That would give us a problem here. So there's no 1 there, there's no 1 there. That means there's a 1 in one of those 2 squares, as well as being me in the room. I'm definitely someone. And I am here, so that's not 1, that's a 1. That means those 2 aren't 1. And, well, I've got a digit. This feels like amazing progress. I'm not sure I can do anything with it. I suppose it restricts the 7 cage, therefore. But, oh, no. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then 18 cage. If I can't put 1, 2, and 3, and 4 in the 18 cage, it must be 5, 6, 7. It's the only way it'll add up. 5, 6, and 7 add to 18, so they're an 8, 9 pair. Doesn't resolve that 7 cage. Oh, these 7 cages are a bit annoying. Running out of ideas. Maybe I can do the 9s. That's the other thing we've kept in our back pocket. Can we get the 9s positioned? And the answer to that is I don't know. So I've got to put the 9s into, let's just highlight, I've got to put 3 9s. Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's the same sort of trick again. But if I highlight those cells, we have got to put 3 9s at least into the greens without creating the problem. So for example, we could never have 9s in both of those, because that would cause 9876 on this Renban, 9876 on this Renban. You then have to put 9, 8, 7 and 6 into those 3 squares in column 9, and you would have broken the puzzle. So the only way I can do this, I'm going to have a 9 in one of those squares. Because if I don't have a 9 here, I'm definitely going to fill 3 of these 4 green 2x2s with 9s, and I can't do that without having a problem in the rows. So this is going to have a 9 on it. And therefore this one definitely doesn't have a 9 on it, otherwise we've got a problem. So that's not got 9 on it. And now I can't put 9 in both of those, or I've got a problem in those 3 squares. So that means this one must have a 9 on it, and that looks a little bit interesting with the 9 above it, look. So there's a 9 in one of those 3 squares. And now I can't have a 9 in this one, and therefore I must have a 9 in this one. And suddenly the puzzle, I'm not saying it's done, it's by no means done, but we have got a lot of information we didn't have before. Probably. I'm going to get rid of the green highlighting actually, if that's alright. I probably want to get rid of my... Do I want to get rid of the purple highlighting or not? Is that going to reveal anything new? I don't think it is. I mean, I know that there are exactly 3 9s. I know there are exactly 3 1s. So yeah, okay, I'm going to get rid of the highlighting. Begone highlighting, and let us just focus on Sudoku. And the way we will focus on Sudoku is by noting that I can place a 1 in box 8 now, because that can't be a 1 anymore, because that would be a 6, and the 6 is in the Renban. So we get another digit, 1. That's not, no 1s up there. That gets me the 1 here. Look, this 1 is in the same cage, so we can get the 1 there. That means that places the 1 in box 9. How many 1s have I got? I've got 5 1s. I've got 1s there. Okay. Sort of deadly pattern of 1s that will have to be resolved by something else, I suspect. Okay. What do I do now? 9. Yeah, okay, well 9 in this box has to be vertical. That's lovely. That's absolutely lovely. 9 is vertical here. 9 cannot go on this Renban, because again we'd have the problem 9876, 9876. You can't put 6, 7, 8, 9 into 3 cells. So 9 is those in box 7, and this 9 is looking at our old friend 8, 9 in that box. That becomes 8, that becomes 9. 9 must be horizontal in this box, in this domino, for exactly the same reason. So that's not 9. Okay. I'm going to call this video something like, can you place 1 digit? Because I think getting 1 digit in this puzzle is not easy. I don't know how long it took me, but it was close to half an hour, and that is not an easy spot. But even blind squirrels find acorns. Okay, come on. What do we do now? What do we do now? Can we do something with this 8? Yes, maybe. There's no 8 in those squares. So there's an 8 vertically in those 3 positions. Can we put 8 on this Renban? If we put 8 on that Renban and there's no 9, we would know that this Renban was 8, 7, 6, 5, which breaks. Beautiful. Break. Look. 8765 on this Renban. Look up, look at this. Now we've got 876 here, 876 here. So where are we putting the 876 in column 3? Those 3 squares. But if I put 8, 7, 6 in those 3 squares, I can't place the 9. And I know the 9 is in one of those 2 squares from this 9. So this is not... Well, this Renban has not got an 8 on it, and that places the 8 in box 7. Because of this 8, and you can't put it on the Renban, it goes there, which means there's no 8 in those squares. Which means 8 is horizontal in box, well, in row 6 here. It's in box 4. We've got 9 in the 20 cage. So these 2 squares have got to add up to 11. And they, wow, that's interesting. They can't be 5, 6, because if that's 5, 6, you'd have to put 7 into both of those squares. So they're not 3, 8, they're not 5, 6. They're either 4, 7 or 2, 9. I love this. This is just gorgeous. Why doesn't that work? Well, that doesn't work for a totally new reason. That doesn't work because you cannot create a 4-cell Renban line if you've put 4 and 7 in these squares, because these squares have to be consecutive. Well, there aren't 4 consecutive digits left in the string of digits 1 to 9 if you use 4 and 7 in this cage. So it's not 4, 7. And if it's not 4, 7, the only thing left is 2, 9, and the 9 therefore shifts into the cage, and we get a 9 here and a 2 here. That's no longer a 9. And that might be important. It removes 9 from those 2 squares. This 2, where does it go in box 1? It's got to be in a 1, 2 pair that's now horizontal, which means we now know those squares are a 3, 4, 9 triple. No, not a 3, 4, 9. I was wondering how I was going to resolve that with this. There is a 9 in there, I just wasn't seeing it on the left hand side. What is the other digit? A 5. This is a 3, 4, 5 triple. And that's good. That's good, because where does the 5 go in this box? It's got to go horizontal with its friend the 8. So we now know these 3 squares as well. They are 9, they are 7, and they are 6. So this is 6, 7, and 9 in some order. Oh, okay. Oh, this is probably here just for symmetry then, because I cannot see how those 3 digits could ever be resolved by the cage. Okay, so now what do we know? Oh, this is gorgeous. Yeah, I've got a 1, 2 in row 9. So my 7 cage has now got to be 3, 4. Which means those 2 squares must be a 2, 5 pair to complete box 8. Which means 5 is horizontal in box 2. It's not there anymore. Can we force 5 onto the Renban in this box? I think we can, because 1 and 9 are not on the Renban. So if we're selecting 4 digits from 7 digits, 2, 3, 4, 5, we always hit a 5, whether we come up or down, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 8, 7, 6, 5. There is a 5 on this Renban. That doesn't actually seem to tell us anything. Oh, okay, so we've got to do something else. What else can we do? We know that this digit is a 5, 6, or a 7. But presumably... Oh no, there's no way this is a 5, because that's going to break the Renban. In fact, let's think about the Renban in this box. It's either 3, 4, 5, 6, or it's 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm looking to see if I can spot why it's breaking on either of these. Or 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6 looks quite possible actually. Let me look at 4, 5, 6, 7. And by the way, the reason I think 3, 4 looks quite possible is it's marrying up there. It's putting a 3, 4 here. 4, 5, 6, 7. Can we break that somehow? If it is 4, 5, 6, 7, we'd have a 6 and a 7 in there, which is possible, and in fact is forced. We'd have a 4 down here, which is forced. We'd have a 5 down here, which would be forced. Sorry, I don't know how to do that. So what do we know? I suppose we can work out the common digits, can't we? We always know there's a 5 and a... Oh, hang on. 3, 4, 5, 6. Or 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's always 4, 5, and 6 in there. So this is always... Oh, there's... Sorry. Is it really as simple as that? I think it might be. Oh, I feel embarrassed now. Why couldn't I just see that? Sorry, I'm now doubting my sanity. 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, okay. If that was 4, 5, 6, 7, this simply has no option. Oh, I'm so silly. I'm so sorry. I know you all have got very cross with me about that. I'm disappointed in myself. Bother. Okay, so this is a 7. That means this is a 7. That means those are not 7. Now, can we use this combination to our... Well, we can get rid of 7 up there. And we can... 3s and 4s, we already know this. That's not doing anything clever. Okay, I'm not sure what we can do with that. Can we do anything with this 7 here? Do we know whether 7 is on this Renban line or not? Or is there some other way of figuring this out? If 7 is on the Renban line, then 6 and 5 are obviously on the Renban line as well. So 7 and 6 would have to go in there. This would be a 5, 6, 7 triple. That would be an 8, 9 pair, which looks possible. Oh, 5 is vertical. Oh, yeah, hang on. 5 is vertical in column 9. Oh, that's gorgeous. That gives me a 5 down here. 5 and 6 go in. I was about to say that removes 1, 6 as a possibility from the 7 gauge, but 1, 6 was always not possible in the 7 gauge. So, how do we do this then? Maybe we can... Yes, I see how to... Well, I see a small deduction. I can't put 3 on this Renban line, because if I do, the corollary of that, given that 5 is on the Renban line, is there's 3 and 4 on the Renban line. Now, there can't be 3 and 4 on this Renban line, because when you marry those up with the 3 and the 4 that are in this 2x2, where are we putting the 3 and the 4 in row 3 of the grid? You'd have to put both of them in that string of digits, where they simply cannot go. So there is no 3 on this Renban line. And therefore, it is... That's absolutely beautiful. That's a 4, 5, 6, 7 Renban line, because it can't have an 8 on it. I can't remember why it can't have an 8 on it, but it doesn't seem to be able to have one, if I trust my pencil marks. And I think in this instance I am going to. Although that does make me a bit nervous. Oh yeah, okay, if it did have an 8 on it, these 3 squares would break. So that does feel like it's probably true. Oh, it's by Sudoku. Yeah, there's definitely an 8 over there. Good. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, what does this tell us about the world? Yeah, first thing it tells us is that this is a 4, because the 4s are married up in those squares, and we need to put a 4 in row 3. It can only go here. Okay. It also is interesting for 6 and 7, isn't it? Because the 6s and 7s align in boxes 1 and 3, and so that string of digits is 5, 6, 7. That can't be 5 because of the 2, 5 pair down there. These 2 squares are an 8, 9 pair. Oh, I've turned them blue by mistake. I did not mean to do that. Right, maybe I'll have a look at this 18 cage in a minute, because I've just noticed it's definitely got an 8 in it, and it looks like it's got a 5 in it as well. This 5-8, this 2-5, and this 8-9 are sort of pinching box 5, and they're forcing 5 and 8 definitely into the cage. That means it's got 13 in it in those 2 digits, and it needs 2 more cells adding up to 5, which are not 1, 4. So I now know the composition of this cage. That's got to be 2, 3, 5, 8. And that looks very interesting with the 2, 3 over here, because that means the 2 and the 3 in row 6 have to be in those squares. And that means this square is down to 5 or 4. And I can do it. I can do it because if I come back to the top of the grid and our square 2 goes in box 3, it's vertical. This 2 is aligning itself with 1s. That's a 1-2 pair. That's also going to allow me to place an 8 here. But more important than that, although the 17 cage is now becoming very interesting, is that this 1-2 is looking at this square, and that's becoming a 3. That's a 4. This is a 2. Please keep going. Please keep going. This is where I get the fear, because if I can't solve this from here, imagine if... I think I would give this one to Mark to have a go at as well, because this puzzle needs to be seen. Come on. I've got a 2-3 here and a 2-3-5-8 triple, so that's a 5-8 pair. This must be a 2-3 pair. This 5-8 is eliminating an 8 from that square, so this is becoming the 8 in box 6. This square is now known, that's just a 5 by Sudoku. Now, I've now got 13 in my 17 cage, so I need a 1 and a 3, and that can only be a 1. So all of that gets done. The 9 gets placed. The 9 feeds through its cage. So this cage was useful. So this cage was useful, and that was in there for symmetry, I think. This 8 means that's a 9. That's a 9 now. It's the only place a 9 can go in box 1. This is not an 8 because of this 8. And watch. Oh! In the cross, I've got a 2 here that sees that 2. So that's a 5. That's a 2. That's a 2 in box 9. The 3 sorts out the 3 and the 4. So now those squares are not 4. Those squares are not 3 or 5. So that's a 4-6 pair. Get rid of the 6 below. That's 3-5-0. That's 7. Well, this 7 is fixing this square. That's 6. That's 9. Those 2 squares have got to be a 7-8 pair now. The 9 and the 6 are doing a little bit of work at the top of the grid. And keep going. Keep going. 5-8, 5-8. Oh no. No, I'm grinding to a halt. Come on. 2 can't be in those squares. 1 can't be in those squares. So there's a sort of 2-3-4 triple I'm seeing in column 4. Which means that we need to place 5, 6, 7s and 8s. This can't be 5 or 8. I think this is a 6 or a 7. I'm just going to double check that. 5, 6, 7 and 8 to place looks correct, doesn't it? And this definitely, so this is 6, 7, so that means we can isolate this square, and this square must be a 4, which I can now see is true by a sort of Sudoku trickery, given this quadruple. The 4 in this, not quadruple, triple, the 4 in this triple is definitely in these 2 squares, so it's not in those 2 squares. And now that gives me a 2-3 pair in column 5, which places the 1. Again, I have a horrible feeling that was, yeah, I think that's been there for a while if I just spotted it. Now, what's this square? That is a 6 or a 7. So I've got 9 here. That's nice. So that's a 9. This is a 6 or a 7. I've got 6, 7 pair in column row 4. I'm getting my columns and rows all in a mess today. Now, what else have we got? So I've now got 6, 7 pairs all over the grid. I've got a 9 in this. I've got 9 in the 22 cage now. That's good, because I'm starting to wonder how we're going to disambiguate all this, although I'm seeing I can do a bit more up there. 6, 7 pair there. No, that doesn't do it. Oh, okay, let's have a look at the 22 cage. I've got 13, so those 3 squares sum to 9, so we can immediately get rid of 7 then. 3 cells summing to 9 if they're all different digits. Can't use 711 for obvious reasons. Right, you can't put 6 in here, because 6 would have to go with a 1-2 pair, and this square cannot be a 1 or a 2. So I think the order is going to be 5, 3, 1. That definitely adds up to 9. The whole thing adds up to 22, and this might actually crack it, because that's doing damage. Look, 8, 5. 7 here is giving me a 6, 6, 7, 6, 7, 7, 6, 2 here, 2, 3, 1, 4, 4, 6, 6. Oh, that's now a 7. That must be an 8. 7 and 6 go in. 5 goes in. 5 and 4 go in. How on earth do you construct something like this? It is ridiculous. And it's done. Yes, I am very pleased with that. Good grief. That is an absolute stone cold classic. It is absolutely incredible that that solves. Well, I mean, what do we say about it? The whole trick, I think, there'll probably be comments telling me this is wrong, but I couldn't see another way of doing it. I think the trick is to think about that lattice. And that lattice is not a window lattice that the Raven sits on. It is a beautiful lattice that Udokos has come up with to force things onto his Renban lines. And we found out that we needed to put 3 1s and 3 9s at least on Renban lines, and completely absurdly, these 7s in the grid force the whole disposition of the 1s and 9s on the Renban lines, and from there the puzzle becomes sort of doable. In my own inimitable way. So thank you so much for watching. I'm a bit blown away by that one. And yeah, we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.